Meeting is being recorded.
Hello, this is Reverend Twyla Reece coming to you from Unity of Merced in Merced, California. It is Sunday afternoon, July 11th. It is hot here in California. I think the last I checked, it was about 104. Woo, baby. And staying cool here in the house. Very grateful for the air conditioning and for the opportunity to be with you today. We had a lovely service this morning at Unity of Merced. We meet at 10:30 a.m. excuse me, at 305 West 26th Street in Merced, California. I want to share with you a little bit of what I shared this morning. One of our musicians, Candace Lamb, played for us today. Candace, you can find her on Facebook. She's amazing and she's just a lovely person and a wonderful vocalist and musician. She writes a lot of her own music, but today she started us off with Peter Frampton's Baby, I Love Your Way. You have to excuse my hair flying a bit for the air conditioning over here to my right. Baby, I Love Your Way by Peter Frampton. I would play it for you, but I'd get into having to navigate all the YouTube copyrights. But you know the song, Don't Hesitate, for our love won't wait. Don't hesitate, for our love won't wait. And we took that song and we took it to a universal metaphysical interpretation of the flow of life, of the flow of love, and of staying focused on where you are in each given moment. Where are you in allowing your love to shine, of allowing your love a place to be able to settle in? Don't hesitate. Baby, I love your way. Holy Spirit, Holy Presence. You know, all love songs are really a love song to the universe. And they are universal, aren't they? We tend to make them very personal, but they're really love songs to the universe. Don't hesitate. And so I asked the question, how well are you loving? How well are you loving? I shared with our community a piece that came across my desk this week for ministers. And it was called, We're Now in the Second Marathon. I'm not going to read it to you. It was a very meaningful article for myself and for many of my colleagues that I saw that commented on this article. But it was talking about how ministers in this day and age and this time of COVID, that we're actually in our second marathon, that we went through our first marathon of having the world just, whew, hello, what? We're shutting down. And yes, that was a good choice for public health reasons. But we had to learn how to do life differently. We had to learn how to do our spiritual services differently. We had to learn how to present virtual services and classes and counseling in ways that many weren't already, doing, that we weren't used to, and still carry on everything that needed to be carried on and to be there for our communities and to be there for ourselves and for each other. And that now we are in a second marathon. And some of us had to come back and it's like, wait a minute, how do I do this? How do I do? How do I do? How do I go back into the sanctuary? How does all of that work? And for a little bit, I went, wait a minute, how does PowerPoint work? What do I do? And it wasn't that I didn't know, I just hadn't needed to do it for well over a year, but also because there is a sense of being unsettled, in our lives, of having gone through the last few years in the United States, of having our world kind of turned topsy turvy, upside down and all over the place. And a lot has been revealed, hasn't it? So much has been revealed about who we are as a society, who we are as human beings. And so I ask the question again, how well are you loving? Now, while that article that I shared with you a moment ago was for ministers, for clergy, I believe that no matter where you are in your life, whether you're retired, whether you're a school child, elementary to postgraduate, but those aren't children. I do understand that. But you know what I'm trying to say? The students trying to navigate this world. And now here we going again and leap into a next phase, into a remembering, into a show up and pay attention kind of life. So, no matter where you are in your life, whether you're a young child, a student, someone who is in the workforce, people that are retired, all over the place. I do not want to exclude any person, but that each and every one of us are now into a second marathon, into that second race of remembering how we did things before, letting go of the things that don't work for us anymore, allowing for the newness to come in, and at the same time, staying grounded and centered in love. I love that Peter Frampton line from the song, For Your Love. Don't hesitate. Don't hesitate. Leap forward, even if it's very quietly and gently, to do that leap in consciousness, of doing that check, to seeing where are you? How are you showing up in your life? How are you showing up in your life? Are you being authentic? Are you being authentic? Are you being loving? Are you being compassionate and generous and coming to life with a full and open heart, being able to love and stay centered? How loving are you? There's a quote by Coop Blackson from his book, The Magic of Surrender. The pressure you put on yourself to get to the place you think you should be will rob you of the joy of fully experiencing where you are right now in this moment. It's not about how fast you get to your goals, but the person you become in the process itself. The pressure you put on yourself to get to the place where you think you should be. What if where you should be is to simply be observant and present to the activity of divine love that is within you, around you, is you as you, and in each and every other being, in each and every vibration in our known universe and beyond, right? How well are you loving? How resilient are you? How resilient are you to the life and the love that the universe has to share with you right here and right now? One of the illustrations that I used with my community this morning is a while back. We can't remember exactly when it was, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I think it was during COVID, but I'm not sure. we had a tree that was leaning, and it was leaning over into our parking lot. And our gardener had a concern that it might tip over into the parking lot. So he wanted to take care of this tree and do what we needed to do for the property and for the tree itself. So our team cut the tree down. However, in the process of cutting the tree down, which is always for us difficult to do, we don't like to cut down trees, but it needed to be done for the safety of the people and for the property. So they cut the tree down, and in the process of cutting the tree, I am told they cut it down to where it was about 5 feet high. They got the top of it down. It was a small tree, not a huge tree. I would go like this, but you really can't tell how big that trunk is. It was just the right size for two people. But they left about a 5 foot tree stump. And why did they leave that? Because the chainsaw broke. I was told this morning it wasn't the intention to do that. But because we ended up with this 5 foot uh, tree trunk, I had the idea that I would like to find somebody to carve, to make it into a carving, make it into a totem pole, and do something wonderful with it to preserve the vibrancy and the memory of the tree and to give us a different kind of focal point. Well, it was during COVID, and I did look around, and but I didn't work too diligently on that. But I kept my mind on it, and I stayed alert to possibilities. But you know what happened in the process of waiting for that? The tree started growing branches. Yes, it did. Just a few itty bitty little tiny stiff branches. At one point, they fell off. There were only, I don't know, probably only 3 or 4 of them. And I went, oh, because I was so excited. The tree was growing new branches. And then they fell off. And then very quickly, more started coming in, even more quickly. Now, we have only been back in our building for 3 weeks for indoor services. Before that, we had been doing outdoor services in the courtyard, but no one had really mentioned the tree. So this morning, I shared the story of this tree, and many of them hadn't even noticed that it had been cut down. But I shared with them the resilience of this tree going from a barren trunk, waiting to be carved into a spiritual totem, to birthing new life, into growing new branches. And right now, the way it's growing, it's kind of growing branches from the bottom up, and we're having that looked at so that we can take care of the tree and nurture it the way that it needs to be and grow into its next beautiful incarnation. But we talked about the resiliency of nature, the resiliency of life. Whether you're running your first marathon or your second marathon, or you feel like you're on your 10th, how is your resiliency? How resilient are you? Are you able to find a place within you that you're not putting pressure on yourself to be a certain way, to do a certain thing, but to allow for the Holy Spirit to work in and through you, to allow new leaves to blossom, new branches to grow, to be able to sit and be still and allow for the next piece of wisdom to come your way and not get all stressed out about it. Oh, what? Stressed out? Why, when we need to control what is going on around us? Well, you know what? We do need to pay attention, and we do need to make the very best choices that we can make. But allow those choices to come from a wisdom deep within you. Allow for the wisdom oh, to just grow within you. Allow your innate wisdom to shine forth. From the book of John, chapter 4, verse 12. If we love one another, God abides in us, and God's love is perfected in us. If we love one another, God abides in us, and God's love is perfected in us. Now, the truth is, God's love abides in us whether we are acting on it or not. It's just there. It's up to us to pay attention and to show up making the best choices of loving ourselves and all of those around us. Yeah. How well are you loving? How well are you loving? Last week, I shared a piece by Ram Dass. Actually, I think I shared it here a couple of weeks ago about how he holds to being able to see the beloved in all people, even those people that he feels the most adverse to. And Ram Dass says that the idea is simply to live and breathe among the beloved. The idea is to simply live and breathe among the beloved. To simply live and breathe among the beloved. Can you do that? Can you do that for yourself? Can you take whatever stressors you may feel in your life and just bring them into a ball in the palm of your hands? I had a therapist once who used to talk about allowing my inner child, who was so hurting at the time, to bring her into my awareness and see her in the palm of my hands, this very sad and afraid inner little girl, and to bring her, just to visualize bringing her into the palm of my hands and then bringing her into my heart. Bringing her into my heart where she could be safe, where I could tell her that it was okay. She didn't have to run the show anymore, that I was ready to be an adult. I was ready to do the adult thing and not have that scared little girl feel like she was in it all by herself. What if you were able to take the things that scare you the most, that keep you up at night, that worry you, and just bring that image into the palm of your hands and bring it into your heart in a healthy way, in a healthy way, and allow that to be transformed into a love so that your loving can increase. And you take that hurt, you take that fear, you take that worry, and you allow it to transform into light. There's a Buddhist practice of prayer called Tonglen, Tonglen, where you breathe in the pain, you breathe in the suffering of other people, of the world. You breathe that in. You bring that into your body and you allow it to transform. And then you breathe it back out. Don't let it stick and get stuck within your own vibrational being, but to allow yourself to see it, to feel it, breathe it, transform it, and then share it back out into the vibrations of the universe as pure, loving light. How well are you loving? How well are you willing to love? I'm looking at my PowerPoint from this morning's talk. Ah, how well, how well are you loving? How well are you willing to love? How willing are you to move and to not hesitate? How willing are you to take whatever the last year and a half or 5 years or how many ever years life has been just beating down on us, it feels like, with these hot sun rays that so many of us are experiencing right now, and allow that energy to transform. You can do it, even if it's just little tiny steps. Remember, don't pressure yourself to be what you think you are supposed to be, but to allow who you are to unfold into your life. Know that you are a Christed being made in the image and likeness of whatever God is for you. And for me and what I teach, it's not about a human image, it's about the vibration of love. Children come into this world ready to love. And then what does that song say from South Pacific? We have to be carefully taught not to be in that love. So go find yourself examples of happiness. Go find yourself examples of pure, innocent, compassionate acceptance. If you find yourself having thoughts that do not raise up the whole human race on the planet, if you find yourself having thoughts that do not protect our climate and our Mother Earth, if you get stuck in that materialism and that having power over people and my way or the highway and you're wrong and I'm right, oh, where are the people being served? Where are the people being taken care of? Not in an unhealthy way, but in an actual love of God way. Simple. No politics, no dogma, none of that power play. That's all power play. That's not pure innocence. That's the egoic mind trying to grab onto power, trying to grab onto wealth. Whereas if we could just allow and breathe into it, then it would all come so naturally, just like the leaves growing back on the tree. We tried to cut the tree down, and it said, no, not going to happen. I have more life to live. So, on a daily basis, ask yourself, how well am I loving? Go forth and have a wonderful rest of your day or tomorrow and the day after that and after that and after that. And I'll see you next week. Bye for now.